and welcome again to the lecture series The Ascended Masters Answer the Fundamental Questions of Life. This lesson is entitled Lesson 6, Part 2. Our 7 bodies. Now we need to understand that our physical body is not the only one that we have. In order to embody function on the physical plane, every individual must have 7 bodies. Why do we not see the other bodies? Because they are consisting of an etheric substance and they are functioning at a much higher vibration. The 3 higher bodies are called the I Am Presence, the Causal Body, and the Christ Self. The 4 lower bodies are called the etheric body, the mental body, the emotional body, and the physical body. The 3 higher bodies contain only perfection. The 4 lower bodies contain the imperfection which man created after the event called the fall of man. They contain energy which must be redeemed and transmuted into perfection. The 3 higher bodies function in the octave of the Ascended Masters. The 4 lower bodies operate in what has been called the psychic realm. The psychic realm contains the imperfection of human creation. The 3 higher bodies hold a consciousness of perfection, but the 4 lower bodies do not. These lower bodies, by reason of their limited development, accept whatever it sees and hears at face value, perfect or not. In other words, it accepts also imperfection. If beloved Ascended Master Jesus would have agreed with this viewpoint, he would not have been able to heal the sick. However, Jesus held the perfect Christ consciousness, and that was the basis for manifesting his so-called miracles. What enables the 7 bodies to function? It is a steady stream of life-giving energy, also called electrons, originating from the central sun and flowing from there in consecutive order towards the physical sun, the I Am Presence, the Christ Self, to the 4 lower bodies. The moment that an electron is invoked by an individual threefold flame, this electron is stamped with its own certain pattern, such as a Maltese cross or lotus flower. For every electron so invoked, man must give an accounting. Electrons are drawn into form through the designing faculty of the mind. The pattern is determined by the feeling which pours through them, thus setting the pattern for the vibratory rate. Thought, therefore, is the cup, the design or the outline in which the primal substance of life is poured, and the feeling is the vibratory pulsation sent through the electronic light which brings forth the manifestation. Now I like to explain the relative position of the 4 lower bodies as follows. 1. Interpenetrating and extending 5 inches around the physical body is the etheric body, shaped like an ovoid. 2. Interpenetrating and extending around the etheric body is the mental body, also shaped like an ovoid. Interpenetrating and extending around the mental body is the emotional body, the largest of the 4 lower bodies, also shaped like an ovoid. The emotional body extends 3 feet from the physical body, and in some persons more than that. Let us now examine all of these 7 bodies we talked about and explain their function. First, the I Am Presence. The I Am Presence is the individual focus of God, connected to the heart of the physical body through the silver cord. It is the real you, the being through which you will function after you have achieved your ascension. It is the God within you and knows only perfection. When you first came to the planet Earth, the glorious presence of God filled the entire form which you then wore. That God presence, enfolded in the threefold flame, was visible to the physical sight of all men. By using that flame, you were able to precipitate food, clothing, shelter, or whatever you desired or required. Through the power of your feelings, which energized the thought forms, these manifestations took place instantly. What has happened to that magnificent presence? When the attention no longer rested exclusively on that God presence, but began to focus on the negativity of human thinking and feeling as well, the flame within the heart began to decrease in size and influence. Finally, only a spark of the great God presence remained within the heart. This divine spark is now called the Immortal Threefold Flame. As that flame in the heart is now fed by your attention and love, it will begin to increase, and it fills again the physical body with God perfection. The man who cuts wood, acknowledging the presence of God's energy flowing through his arm, expands the God presence within him. So does the singer who acknowledges God as singing through her. So does the woman moving around the daily household tasks. All of these individuals, by acknowledging the God self within, are filling their auras with light and are expanding the light of the world. Next in our discussion, we will explain the causal body. All of the constructively qualified energy gathered during all of your embodiments is contained in the great reservoir of good and perfection, shown as 7 concentric circles of color around the I Am Presence. This is known as the causal body, and within this body are stored the treasures in heaven, which neither can be stolen, rust, or decay. So we may say the causal body contains the accumulated good, the opposite of karma, which is the energy qualified in a harmonious manner. Each band within the causal body represents a particular God quality, such as the will of God, wisdom and discrimination, love, purity, consecration, or serving God without consideration of payment. The causal body of each individual is built from the very first day of our embodiment. The only reason we embody is to serve God, and by serving mankind, we serve God. There's an additional service the causal body performs. When at least 51% of the energy of the individual is qualified with perfection, that energy anchored within the causal body acts like a magnet, assisting the life stream to ascend. Thus, the causal body becomes the cause of the ascension, from whence comes its name. What is the function of the Christ self? When the individual decided to apply for embodiment, the Christ self came into being. And this Christ self is a provision which the I Am Presence has made to give us assistance in the human world. It is a replica in form of the I Am Presence, but vibrates at a lower rate. Operating at a lower vibration, it is aware of the imperfections such as disease, but does not take it on and accept it. So the Christ self is aware of what we are doing and whatever our needs are, and he takes those needs to the I Am Presence. For this reason, the Christ self functions as a step-down transformer. It may also be considered the mediator between the individual God self and his outer consciousness. The Christ self is the still small voice within, also called the guardian angel, sometimes giving promptings to do certain things. The number of promptings is usually 3. If we do not follow these promptings, they will be discontinued after the 3rd time. The Christ self abides in a position between the I Am Presence and the physical body. It regulates the amount of energy flowing through the silver cord. As the student learns to love his Christ self, it expands until it takes complete possession of the 4 lower bodies, making every individual a Christ in action, just as the ascended Master Jesus manifested this Christ in action centuries ago. This concludes Lesson 6, Part 2. I sincerely hope you enjoyed it. I hope we will meet soon again for Part 3 of the lesson. God bless you.